Welcome, everybody. Hello, Daniel. It is so good to have you on this conversation. We are winding down, heading into Christmas. How are you?
Hey Dan, thanks a lot. Yeah, feeling great, doing great, and really looking forward to the new year. It's been, quite an eventful 2022 for not just us here at Trust Talk, but I bet for the whole world as well. So really looking forward to what 2023 has in store for all of us.
Yeah, and especially the industry that we're in, right? It seemed just a bit of turmoil. Like in the world of fintech and crypto, I don't know when the last time was where there was such an amount of turmoil. I mean, people are comparing this to the 2008 downturn, but it's totally different though, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. This time around, there are a lot of tech layoffs, a lot of fear in the market right now. And yeah, tech companies currently are doing whatever they can to stay afloat, or some that are doing even better are really pushing their advantage that they have right now and going even further, just focusing on growth. And yeah, this is something that we're seeing really in the market as we talk to all of our
Yeah.
customers, clients.
Exactly. But now we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. And I wanted to ask you because this is the first time you are on this conversation, on this podcast. And several of the listeners might know you and might have even conversed and talked to you either at SFF or another event or via any, I don't know, medium or call or whatever way. And I just wanted to ask you to quickly talk about yourself because it's been 6 months since you came to Trust Stack. Like, where are you coming from, and what is it that you like about this industry?
Yeah, sure. So just a bit of introduction of myself. I joined Trust Talk actually about 6 months ago. And prior to that, I took a real interest into eKYC, all because of my own personal experience. So as I tried registering for several platforms, I found it so difficult and so frustrating that I had to take a photo, it will constantly get rejected. And it was through this personal experience of mine that I found actually Trust Dog through some connections. And when I heard about what it is they do and the solution that they have, I was telling myself, oh, this is something that will definitely hit the market really well. And, it fits the market really well. And there are just a lot of things that can be explored here in this industry. And through my own research, I know that eKYC itself is quite an early industry. So that's when I decided to make the decision to try out for Trust Talk. And
Yeah,
yeah, so as I joined, that's when, things really got revealed to me about, how fintechs work and, all the things that we're exploring right now in the market and learning as well. So it's been one really exciting ride so far and really looking forward to much more.
yeah. Speaking of fintech, when you got to the company, you were like, oh, okay, so we can serve all of these industries, but I really have a knack for finance and fintech. What is it that you dig so much about this industry?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question actually. So going back to sharing about my experience about eKYC, actually my personal experience was with a crypto company, with a crypto platform that I was trying to sign up for. And as being a consumer myself, trying to register for stocks trading platforms, crypto trading platforms, or any form of like buy now, pay later lending platforms, I had to do eKYC. So I found that this was something that was in common with a lot of the things that consumers are using these days. And I found that was something I could extremely relate myself to. And it just gave me the passion to really explore this industry.
Right, right. So you're a crypto man. Are you invested right now? And are you doing good with crypto?
Well, that's hard to say. That's quite a question. So, of course, in the past 1 to 2 years, it has been really difficult. So, I mean, I may be getting too deep into financials here, but basically, when I play my crypto and I play my investments, whether you short or you long, it's all about reading the charts and keeping on top of the news.
Yeah,
So, as long as you do that, you should be in quite a decent position. I would say not necessarily all the time profitable, but necessarily is as long as you're doing your own research before you make any form of position, you're not going to lose that much either. So it's really all about being very disciplined when you're going into your investments. And that's just the way I approach my investments.
Exactly. Unless things turn overnight. But then again, you can have the right automation set up, and then you can't get hurt too bad if if you get those things in place, and if you're not greedy and diligent, as you said. Yeah.
Exactly. Putting stop loss or take profit orders is very important to, keeping your whole portfolio alive. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So you said you got a little bit of experience with crypto companies and signing up. Now, obviously, having joined Trust Stock, you got a completely different view and picture of the market. Now, in terms of onboarding with crypto, or let's say fintech companies, how mature do you think the industry is on a scale from 1 to 5? So if 1 is most companies frustrating the crap out of everybody, and 5 would be like seamless, like real smooth ride for 80% of the companies, where is the industry right now at the beginning of 2023?
I would say we are at a 2 as of now when it comes to eKYC and onboarding. We are still very much in the infant stage. Stage 1 was pretty much conception of, what needs to be done to adhere to AML laws, AML being anti-money laundering laws. So
Yeah.
that was stage 1. Once all of that has been conceived, the laws have been set in place. Now we are developing the systems, which is stage 2. So now
Right.
we are developing and maturing the current systems in place, and that's where eKYC comes in. From the standard, submission of manual forms, now we're doing everything electronic, and COVID has especially escalated and expedited that whole process of everything being done electronically. So we still have many ways to go, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, and yeah, really interesting to see how this grows and develops further.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think there's a cultural component to this, or a mindset component? Because I always thought that successfully onboarding users and giving them a smooth experience, and thereby doing a big favor for your company and your bottom line. Do you think that's just a question of technology and management, or is it a mindset and a cultural issue as well?
That's a really good question then. So when it comes to cultures, right, you'll notice that different countries approach KYC differently. So maybe just stating the example of Japan. So that's where actually TrustDoc was, where we originated from. So when it comes to Japan, what they really focus on is compliance, and their laws there are very strict and very complicated. So when a new company, when a fintech tries to go into Japan and expand into Japan, they face a major obstacle when it comes to eKYC. So, and that is all just based on compliance. Now, outside of Japan, however, in other cultures, it is extremely different. It couldn't be more different, in fact. So, outside of Japan, that's when most of our customers are saying compliance is something we have in check. But what is the problem are customer conversions, is that they are facing customer drop-offs during the whole eKYC process. Customers are canceling the application. And once again, going back to my own experience, I canceled my application. I had a bad experience with the platform I was trying to sign up with. I ended up terminating the whole application and going to find another platform that could still serve my needs. So that's what companies outside of Japan are facing. And of course, it really varies depending on the country and maybe the region as well. So as you can see, culture really plays quite a big difference in what the users want or need.
Yeah. Speaking of that, because what I'm reminded of is that there is a bit of restraint in people when signing up for a financial technology application, because you are putting more or less money at stake. And you're kind of suspicious and wary about things. And if the experience starts out being like bumpy and annoying and frustrating, then you're setting up on the wrong foot. So you either cancel right away and don't even finish the application. Yeah, you don't even finish the onboarding process, or you're just starting off on the wrong foot as a customer. I know about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're actually 100% right. Once again, as a consumer myself, in order to even have that confidence to even apply for a certain platform for their service, I have to work up that level of confidence in their service that I chose them as my selected service provider. And if my first experience with them was ridiculously bad,
Mhm.
how do I work up the confidence from then onwards to move forward to use their services? Whereas if I apply to another alternative or substitution, I get a better service, I get a better first impression, it could be completely different.
Okay, and in APAC right now, which country is the most developed in terms of having their applications at the most mature level? So who's leading the pack in APAC? That rhymes, right? Who's leading the pack in APAC?
Yeah,
In Asia
just to
Pacific?
clarify, when you mean leading the pack, do you mean from an eKYC on onboarding standpoint?
Yeah, probably in general, like experience wise, in onboarding. Yeah. So just speaking of onboarding.
Yeah, so when it comes to onboarding customer conversions right now, actually, to be perfectly honest, we don't really have a major player in that field when it comes to eKYC and
Right.
conversion.
Uh-huh.
None of
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is very interesting that none of the current service product providers for eKYC are focusing on that. And that's where TrustDoc comes in, that we notice there is that gap in the market right now. And eKYC has always been set up as kind of an obstacle preventing customers from joining. The intention was to avoid the wrong customers from joining the platform, but it eventually evolved or developed to a wall in general for all customers. So that's where things might have gone astray when it comes to eKYC.
Yeah, it's funny you said that eKYC started out being the wall that would prevent the wrong customers for entering the application. But what I'm seeing is that it's now becoming not only that, but the opposite, which means facilitating it for the right people and making it easier for them to sign up for the application. So it's becoming a customer experience thing, an enabler, so to say.
Exactly. It is completely part of the user experience and customer experience. You're definitely right.
Yeah, yeah. And Daniel, you talk to a lot of people, right, in this space and fintech companies who are responsible for onboarding. Yeah, like title wise, who is the typical person that you speak to? Are they in marketing, operations, um, security? Who is your who is your typical partner when you have conversations about eKYC?
Right. So it really depends on the function of the eKYC that they are looking to explore into, because eKYC serves several functions in a company. If we are discussing about a compliance need to go into a new market, then we speak to the chief compliance officers. If they are exploring how to convert more customers, then we talk to either the chief operations officer or maybe the chief marketing officer. So the reason being, they want to get the absolute bang for buck that they are spending on marketing dollars. They want to get the maximum return on investment on each marketing project, and they want to ensure that those customers that are being attracted are converted. So that's why we speak to the chief marketing officers.
Yeah. You just answered the my follow-up question that I was going to ask about, what are their main objectives? So what are the things that you're hearing from that they want to achieve? But I guess you just answered that. Are there any do they have any like misconceptions? Do you run into any issues where you think, okay, like the whole market has this wrong and this just has to be clarified? So are there any common misconceptions that you come across with eKYC?
Yep, definitely. I have to say, when you're speaking to lots of people, there are definitely situations like that occur. So, you know, sometimes of course, they know their industry the best. They know what their company needs the best. But when you're looking for a solution, you have to identify which solution fits your business needs and your business goals the most. So there were times where, for example, some companies were looking just for eKYC for the sake of eKYC.
Mhm.
But you have to ask yourselves, and we end up asking them the questions, but why are you looking for eKYC if your volume is maybe only 50 to 100 customers a month? You can do that, with very minimal effort. No need to invest heavily into automation or whole project altogether.
Mhm.
So that's where a lot of misconceptions come about. The eKYC is just the latest technology on the market. Let's get into that, but you have to understand why you're getting eKYC before you engage a vendor.
Right. But the primary reasons are usually around compliance, right? So you're not meeting a lot of people who are like, I want to make the onboarding experience as smooth as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I would say we do have clients that come from, they want to have the best user experience possible. But definitely there is a significant portion that come in just for the compliance front. But from after discussions with them, they do know that compliance with KYC can be done manually or electronically. And that's when, we start to have the conversation, which is more beneficial for them and their business.
Right. Okay. Daniel, when you're speaking to customers and buyers, do you experience that they actually know their numbers? So, their onboarding rate, their drop-off rate, how much it costs to verify one customer, the amount of false positives and false negatives that they have. Do they have a good grasp of these numbers, or are most companies just still beating around the bush and just guessing?
That's a very good question, Dan. So currently, majority of the customers that we speak to, they do not know these numbers. And in fact, these are things that we have to help them uncover in the
Right.
course of conversation with them.
Right. Yeah. So there's a math behind this whole thing that helps you determine, like, do you even need to go, or would you even want to start the eKYC journey, or would you be better off manually doing the onboardings yourself? Is there a general rule of thumb when you can say, like, below this level, forget automation, above this level, do consider eKYC, and above some other level, definitely no brainer, no question? Is
Yeah.
there a hard
So
rule of thumb?
definitely, there are many factors that contribute to this, but the general rule of thumb would be if you have more than 1,000 applicants or eKYC verifications that you need to do, then you should be looking at doing eKYC. Anything less than that, it might be better off to do it,
12,000.
manually or yeah.
Right, right. Okay, yeah. And is it hard to figure out your return on investment? So when you have these conversations, and so what are the numbers that companies need to bring to you so that you can calculate an ROI or at least a price for eKYC?
I would say there is no specific metric that needs to be brought to us, but rather it really depends on how their infrastructure is built. So if, for example, they are doing verifications for 10,000 to 100,000 employees, that's when we definitely need to know what their drop-off amount is so that we can calculate, what is the return on investment or the estimate return on investment you're going to get from eKYC. However, if you are only having 1,000, 12 or less than that per month, then it's going to be very difficult to justify that kind of return on investments. And we have to look at other factors like maybe time, hours spent. And even then, having less than 1,000 verifications a month is quite difficult to justify. So it really depends on how your business is positioned.
Exactly. Gotcha. That's interesting. Okay, and what do you think the coming 12 months hold for us in this industry? Is it going to be any different, or is the volatility going to keep up, or how do you see your job changing in the coming 12 months?
Oh, this is actually a very fascinating point, like how eKYC is going to develop from here on out. So, as you know, going back to cryptocurrency, and this is just based on the most recent news. As you know, cryptocurrency, there's been a whole lot of issues with centralized exchanges, and a lot of things are moving to decentralization. So, when it comes to decentralization, it is highly irregulated. So, it's not really regulated in the decentralization
Mhm.
side. So this is when current federal government bodies are actually expressing a lot of concern on that front. And that's when, for example, they want to be taxing on their citizens and the profits from cryptocurrency trades. So that's when they're pushing for KYC, even for decentralization. But that's when, of course, there's a lot of pushback on that front from a consumer point of view. All of this, the reason why I'm sharing this news is that, coming from an eKYC standpoint, there are currently decentralized exchanges that are doing eKYC. So that is very interesting. That it's no longer just the centralized exchanges that are doing eKYC now. The decentralized exchanges are doing it as well. So this is where eKYC is really coming around, and is really gaining a lot of traction in the whole market right now. Not just for crypto, but any fintech that is related to spending.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Daniel, we could go on for a very long time. This was a very good conversation. I really appreciate it. And I hope we get a chance to catch up soon and just keep going and continue.
Of course.